A lot of people paint a perfect picture of retirement. Older couples walking along a beautiful beach, holding hands, both without a care in the world. However, in reality, that's not always the case. My name is Daniel Bortz. I'm a personal finance reporter at US News, and we're here today to talk about pre-retirement anxiety. Financial worries are a big source of stress for pre-retirees, but many people also have other emotional concerns. We'll be talking about those today with Dr. Robert Delamontagne. He's the author of the book, The Retiring Mind, How to Make the Psychological Transition to Retirement. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Dr. Robert, what do you think are the most common emotional concerns that pre-retirees have?
Well, I think it all depends on the life circumstances of the people retiring. From an emotional point of view, I don't think there's very much you can do to prepare yourself other than be aware of the types of challenges that you're going to encounter once you retire.
So even though they can't prepare themselves fully, is there any way that they can approach it with the right attitude, the right mental state?
Absolutely. I think that when people go into retirement, they tend to be very optimistic about what life will be like once they're not working anymore. And what happens is they encounter aspects of their life that they don't anticipate. For example, much more time on their hands, more closeness with their spouse that may or may not be a very good thing. There's a whole cascading areas of emotional adjustment that are required, some subtle and some fairly substantial.
It sounds like a lot of these emotional concerns aren't vocalized. Why, is it taboo for people to express them?
Yeah, I think that the people that I've interviewed and the research I've done, people are embarrassed to talk about how they feel after retirement. I think that's something that they don't want to talk about. I think it's an issue that is not particularly wide spread across the media, and it's a very, very important issue.
Let's say if someone's sense of self-worth is closely tied to their job, is there any way for them to find a new identity for themselves in retirement? Is that going to be a really hard transition for them?
It's very difficult because there's really no way to recreate the environment that you had when you were working when you're retired. It's the challenge is to adjust to a downscaled life.
In terms of maintaining one's marriage, a lot of people are concerned that the relationship is going to be strained now that they're both spending a lot of time together. Do you have any tips on how to prevent that from happening?
Yeah. In fact, I wrote a book called Honey, I'm Home After the Retiring Mind, and it addresses this issue. What happens is that when two people are thrust together for very long periods of time, minor annoyances can become major issues. And once again, being aware that that's adjustment is going to be required often, not always, but often, that's really half the battle. Being aware of the need for adjusting on multiple levels. And what I usually talk about is that going into retirement isn't a road, it's a juncture. And you're going to take a new road, and you've never been on that road before. And it's going to require you to be more adaptable and to be aware of the areas that are going to require you to be flexible and to grow.
So these tips, they would also apply to younger married couples, but they seem to be sort of more important or required when they're making this adjustment in retirement?
I think that most of the people that I've spoken with who purchased Honey, I'm Home have given the books to their children because it really applies to any marriage, not just a retired couple, but it seems to be a particular need because recent data shows that more divorces are occurring with couples over the age of 60 than any other age group.
In terms of people who are trying to figure out how they're going to spend their days, what they're going to do when they wake up in the morning, what do you think about the idea of having a bucket list? Is that a good idea? Is it going to help people to focus and center their lives?
Well, I think you can have bucket lists of major events, and you can have a bucket list of fairly minor ones. If you're a golfer, you might want to have a bucket list to shoot 80. But I think that people that struggle in retirement, I believe, are the ones that are the most successful. I don't mean monetarily, but they're high achievers, high energy. They're goal-oriented. They want to accomplish things, and they're energetic. And once they get into retirement, it's like going into a decompression chamber. They have to completely reorient themselves because their motor's running too fast for what the new environment requires of them.
So it sounds like people really need to set realistic expectations and goals of themselves, otherwise they're going to run into trouble.
That's right. That's right. And there's so many areas that can cause emotional disruptions. One, of course, is financial, which we all know. Then what happens is when you have one issue that's sort of a point of contention, it bleeds off into all the other areas of your existence in retirement. So you have to also be aware of the need to compartmentalize the issues that you face.
Well, thank you, Dr. Robert, for taking the time to explore pre-retirement anxiety with us. And if you're looking for more information about personal finance, you can go to money.usnews.com.
Thank you, Dan.